Our next guest does a great job. Kansas State, I was stationed out there back in the day when Jack Hartman was the head coach over at Kansas State. That's how far back I go. Joe Washington played for Oklahoma, and Steve Grogan played for Kansas State University. And Aggieville cannot have changed all that much, and I'm pleased to have on the head coach of Kansas State University, 23-11, Frank Martin. How you doing, Frank?
Doing great, and you're right. Aggieville has not changed one bit.
I'll bet you if I go back there from like 30 years ago that they'll still have some of the same bars and, stuff like that. I know some of it's changed. There was a place I used to go in called the Hibachi Hut that's probably still there because it was a great, great restaurant. But, hey, who knows? Times change, things change. But Kansas State keeps rolling, and a pretty good season this year for you, Frank. I know you wanted to go farther, but I think your kids showed up well, and you know what? Congratulations on that. But I know that you still have a lot of work that you want to get done.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Like everyone else, I'd like to have been playing tomorrow, but unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't work that way. And the NCAA tournament's just it's a crazy, crazy tournament. Anything can happen. And but I was extremely proud of our kids. I thought our kids took on the season and battled through some ups and downs, and the one thing they never did was they never gave in to difficulties or difficult moments. On the contrary, they came closer together and grew, and we just ran into Wisconsin on a night where old John Lure and a couple of his guys just wouldn't miss any shots, and we did a pretty good job with Jordan Taylor, but those other guys hurt us.
Yeah, that big kid that got the hair that's out of control. You know what? That kid's so white, he's clear, for God's sake. He was pasty as hell, for God's sake. You couldn't even see him. You lost him in the crowd, for God's sake. Anyway, with Coach Frank Martin from Kansas State University, I gotta tell you, Coach, that with the Big 12 this year, people didn't consider it one of the upper echelon conferences. And, you keep hearing how the Big East knocks each other off and how the Big Ten's this and the Big Ten's that. You never hear about the Big 12 knocking each other off. I have always thought that the Big 12, forget about individual schools having to deal with football. The Big 12 as a conference has had to deal with the football monster that they have compared to the other sports, don't you think?
I think the Big 12 is – I've been in the Big East, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're better than the Big East, but we don't take a back seat to them. I think what happens with the Big 12, because it's the same in football, is that we're basically in small college towns, most 80%, 90% of the universities. So we don't get that national publicity or that nonstop media exposure some of the other leagues get because their teams are located in big places and in major cities, and but it's there's not an arena in this league that you walk into and you don't have 15,000 people in the stands. And you look at the Big 12's home records over the last 5 years, and it's ridiculous. You look at we've had more. Let me phrase this the right way. We've had more teams from our conference be represented in the Elite Eight in the last 10 years than any other conference in the country. And I don't mean Kansas being there 7 times.
Yeah, I was just basically saying that, you always hear the crying and the moaning for the Big East, number one. Then you hear about, I'm in Big Ten country. I'm here in Chicago. You hear about the Big Ten. But you really don't hear a whole lot. It's like the Big 12 is there when it comes to basketball, and that's fine. And you know what? They do this and they do that, but you'd never know. What you just told me was news to me about the Final Eight, and I think that's probably what frustrates you. I know that Tom Izzo, who's a very dear friend of mine, probably a dear friend of yours, gets frustrated with the Big East talk. So, you know what? I think when you coaches all get together under one roof, I'm sure there's some spirited discussions.
Oh, absolutely. I think all of us that coach in the Midwest feel slighted by just the respect that the teams on the coast get publicly and nationally. But, hey, at the end of the day, all that's nice and dandy. You get an opportunity to line up and play.
So
you got to line up and win games.
With Frank Martin, heck of a head coach at Kansas State University, 23-11. Jacob Pullen, tell me about him. Tell me about the next level with him, and also about the situation with the reporter. You stuck up for your kid, so to speak. It's not the easiest thing to do to have a post-game press conference after something that a kid goes through. But give us a little thumbnail sketch about him if you can, Frank.
Jake's the best. I mean, I couldn't be prouder of a kid from your town there, the Windy City.
Sure.
Just Aurora East product, another one of the long lines from Doc Rivers to Shannon Brown and Dee Brown and
you know about
Michael,
this kid? You know about this kid
Michael
Boatwright?
Finley.
You know about this kid Boatwright that's coming out of Aurora? Have you heard about him?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Wait
I
till you
have.
see this kid, super kid.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Jake's been great. Jake's been phenomenal. Obviously, left here as the leading scorer in the history of Kansas State. Led our team to postseason all 4 years. He was a player here. 3 of them to the NCAAs. 1 of them last year to just a great run to the Elite Eight. And I couldn't be prouder. And I think someone is going to give him a chance. And what I tell people is if someone in the NBA gives him a chance, they won't be able to get rid of him because he is so competitive. Winning is so important, and he is such a great student of the game that on top of being a good player. So it's going to be hard for somebody to give him a chance and then say, you got to get out of
How
here.
about with the reporter, the situation with that?
Yeah, well, that's just one of those deals. It's I thought it was not that answering questions is what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to block anybody from answering questions. Anybody that covers our team will tell you that they have full access to our team 24/7. I just didn't like the way that question was worded.
Right.
I thought it was a poorly worded question that kind of slighted all his accomplishments, and to ask that kind of question after the incredible career that he had at that moment. He's still a college kid. He's not an NBA player.
Right,
He's
I
not
get
a
you.
professional. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
I get you. No, you came across great. You stood up for your guy. That's a great thing, and people saw
sir.
that. You know what? By the way, Frank, now you know I'm like you. I'm half Italian, half Irish now. Now, what's your nationality?
I'm the first person in my family born in the United States, but everyone's from Cuba.
Okay, we're the trigger tempers. Trigger tempers.
Yes, sir.
Now,
yes, sir.
There's no question. You know what? I love people to say, oh, look at the temper. When they have the same type of temper, if things don't go right or if things aren't done right. You know, I come from the school of Lombardi, of Ditka, of Lou Holtz, you know, Bobby Knight. Sorry, you don't do what you're told, you kick in the pants. I believe that there's room for that. Do you ever feel like you have to tone down your act? And if you do, I would say don't ever change. I mean, really, you know what I mean? It's hard to change the stripes on the tiger, isn't it?
No, I appreciate you saying that because I'm not.
Break time.
I wish more people in our society in today's day and age would be willing to not act like me, but be willing to expect more from kids.
Absolutely.
To be more demanding of kids, to make them accountable for their responsibilities to a greater degree. See, that's how it was. I never wanted to go to class. I didn't want to practice. I didn't want to lift weights. I didn't want to do homework. But I had people that made me understand I better do it. And that's when I hear adults in today's day and age saying kids are different, it aggravates me because kids aren't different. Kids are kids. We're different as adults that we expect less of them, we demand less of them, and accept them not being as good as they can be. So what happens? We cheat kids, and we need to stop that.
I agree with you, Frank. Hey, Coach Frank Martin, Kansas State, best of luck to you. And I know Kites is still there. That's the basketball hangout. So have a good time in Aggieville, Frank.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, that's Coach Frank Martin from Kansas State University. Special place in my heart for that university. I lived across the street for about a year and a half. We're going to take a quick time out here. Boy, that was another lifetime ago. The Mike Norris Show, special edition, Coach's Corner, here on Fox Sports Radio and north2north.com.